Hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to the reading today. So I'll be officially away from Australia, be in Europe now, officially. So thank you for coming through and watching these readings. These are all pre-recorded. However, I guess they're all pre-recorded technically, but normally I'd read them on the day or the day before and get them posted. Of course, in some way, I'll be doing this pre-recorded before I go. And yeah, these readings are timeless, however. So regardless whether you're watching this in a year's time, 20 years time, if YouTube is still going, who knows, then they'll be here for you to get a message. This one's going to be very how would you put it? I don't want to say like in depth. I feel like this is just going to touch something deep. And it's going to be a message from your childhood self. So regardless of your age, this is going to be obviously a collective reading as well, because there's only 3 piles and there's more than 3 people in the world. So this one's going to really be touching in on an aspect that wants to either be heard or for you to remember. Okay, that's my little spiel. Let's take a look at the piles for you today. Also listening to some 2000s mix, which now if you depending on when you're watching this, but when it gets published, that was 24 years ago, 2000. So it was a long time ago, right? So that you could have been a teenager, a child, or maybe a young adult or whatever, or not even born, right? Some people are very young, so you might not even be born in 2000. All right, let's take a look though. Got pile 1. I'm going to take these 2 as well. All right, let's just move this because of the light. Yeah, that's fine. All right, got pile 1. Let's take a look at this card for you. So pile 1, you have Moldavite, healing, protection, telepathy, and connection. Okay. For pile number 2, you have the red Jasper with nurture, determination, relaxing, and tranquility. And for pile number 3, you have Iolite with magical powers, feminine, divine, work connections, and inspiration. Okay, so these will be the 3 piles for you to pick whichever one calls to, or if you want to look at multiple, feel free to check them all out. I'll be leaving the description, in the description below, I'll be leaving timestamps so you can jump straight to your video. Otherwise, I will give you maybe like 5 seconds after this video, after my spiel, to pick your pile. If you need more time, just pause the video, take a look at whichever card is resonating, and I'll see you in your reading. Hello, hello, welcome to your reading, pile number 1. So you've chosen Moldavite with healing, protection, telepathy, and connection. There's something here that straight away I wanted to talk about. But first I want to talk about the song that's playing, because I said I was listening to just a radio station with 2000s songs from the 2000s, and it's that, I don't know what it's called, but it's like, everybody feel the beat and feel united. Oh, whoa, whoa. Do you know that one? Except he's like, everybody. I can't sing whatever that is. But anywho, it's kind of like fun vibes, high vibes. There's something with this though that you have you came into the life and the family, like everyone picks it, right? I feel like everyone has some kind of say in some kind of like picking this kind of like life and family and this kind of body that I'll be dealing with, etc., etc. It's like you were very determined, and I think something has kind of like either been left or fragmented or shattered, or I don't know, something like from that determination getting into that life has kind of like shifted. And maybe that's where your younger self is going to talk to. It's kind of interesting, right? And you may be going through the healing of that now, or learning your own boundaries and stuff like that, because this card is very interesting. You may even be going into more spiritual practices because that helps heal it, and you understand the connection between how it's impacted you or changed you from the past, right? Whether it was like a great upbringing or not, there's just something there that's been kind of like, I don't know, separate or missed, or just needs to be reminded, basically. And that's going to depend on everyone's individual upbringing, right? We remember many different things. We can remember the high highs, we can remember the low lows, and some stuff we might have locked away, right? Certain low lows were too low, and for the body to function, it kind of like builds a wall around a memory. And I'm not saying that's happening to you, but it's just you never know. Okay, so we've got a lot of cards coming through, some really fun ones. I do want to pick this one first. So I'll grab you some cards. I hope you've had a lovely day. It's getting very warm here. Although I guess if you're in the northern hemisphere, you'll be heading into the colder months. Okay, just gonna squeeze it in there. I'm gonna move that in the middle. Okay, and just one from here. There's two here. I feel like I should take them both. Yeah, you know what? We might move it. No, we'll move it there. Actually, okay, I'll grab that one at the end and these ones later. Let's take a look at these cards for now, and then we'll take a look at whatever else wants to be spoken to. Be thankful for all you have. Nice. It kind of does feel like that, you know, there's like an era of support, or like, I don't know, maybe an aspect of you was championed in a way with this life, right? In the early days. And even if it wasn't, even if it was lost, or like diminished, right? In certain ways, maybe that was parents, maybe it was like friends, or like school or family, or just like kids at school, right? Something like that. Whatever it has happened, whether it was championed or not championed, it's worked out in the way where you've learnt from it and grown from it, and see the blessing in that. And if you don't, that's where this is going to talk to, because it's like, be thankful for all you have is like gratitude. Be thankful for yourself for getting through whatever you got through. Be thankful for yourself for having the support and certain people pop up in life where they've really helped you as well. Even if it's not other people, it's yourself. Be thankful for you. So really nice card coming through straight away. I've got study, investigate thoroughly. It's kind of interesting. And you've got go for it. Earnest enthusiasm. Very like high vibe. Like now it's I can't remember the song, who sings it, but I think it's Emery. This One Thing, or it could be just called One Thing. Anyway, that's what's playing at the moment. It's just like, I remember this song. It's funny listening to now I guess that would be old songs. It doesn't feel that old but it's like 24 years ago. I'm like, yeah, that's, you know, it's a while ago. It's not yesterday or last year. It's a while ago. I'm not getting too much from the study. I don't know if there was this person or you had this kind of like being thankful for this one person who kind of helped you through something. Just remember that. I don't know, it could have been like a really good teacher, it could have been one parent, could have been both parents, could have been like a brother or sister, probably not, right? Siblings are always kind of wacky and wild, especially when you're younger, and then you kind of like start to like have either a better relationship when you're older. Not always, but I would say most of the time, because you're not in each other's face all the time. But yeah, I think if you look at it and start to go through, kind of like comb through some of the past things, there's a message coming through of you were always supported. We guided these people, like it's almost your spirit guides are like, we guided these people into your life to help you through these things. You had this person, these friends, these kind of things to overcome any low energy or any challenges, right? Your connections, like here, your connections are really important. Excuse me, it feels like. And then you've got go for it. This is getting back into that energy of you have everything you need to go get what you want. And if you ask your younger self, like even though I'm getting the message from them, like even if you just connect with your specific younger self, right? Because I'm having like a collective of younger selves coming through. If you spoke to them, like what was something that you wanted to do and you said, once I get older, I'm going to do that. Or I'm going to try that. Like obviously if it's like I'm going to eat all the ice cream I want as we get older, bodies are like not going to tolerate that, right? But like, you know, just enjoying the things that we would call guilty pleasures. We shouldn't be guilty about any of food or anything. You know, if it's not hurting anyone or if it's only for our own benefit or like whatever it is, right? You're allowed to have these pleasures in life. And so I feel like this is just reminding you that you're in a position where you can go get these things or work towards these small pleasures, these joys. And when you're having them, instead of the person as an adult who worries about the ice cream that they're eating because they'll get fat or it might cause this or that, or as we get older, pimples and blah, 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 right? We kind of like demonize something that has no intrinsic like good or bad. It's just a thing. It's kind of like a ball isn't good or bad. It's just like a thing. We use it either for a dog. We could throw it at someone's head if we wanted to. That doesn't make the ball bad or good. It just is. So it's like be very mindful of what you are doing. Enjoy it. It's kind of like get back into the open mind of I'm eating this food. I'm going to be grateful for it. I'm thanking myself for cooking it. I'm thanking, you know, the animal that passed for it or whatever, you know, whatever feels good to you. Probably don't want to think about the animal, but like, you know, that kind of thing. I feel like that is just like really think about it is basically what's coming through. You've got the peacock with inspiration. Nice. It's really nice here. It's kind of like taking me back to the reading that I did about It's Not All About You, right? That kind of reading, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. But It's Not All About You wasn't really to demonize yourself, right? But this one's talking about like the peacock, right? Your own individual flair, kind of shining that individuality, because that individuality helps other people be their own individualities. And we've got a whole bunch of individuals. There's a whole lot of sharing of information and knowledge instead of uniformly kind of, you know, being in this like, you're this person, you go here, kind of like shuffling people around like they're cattle, right? It's even the idea of the name for the job of human resources. Like resources just makes it sound like cattle, being like, yes, humans as a resource. I don't know, I don't like it, but I guess it's not a big deal. But yeah, no, peacock's just reminding you of your own uniqueness, not your like how good are you at fitting into the box. The child wasn't like that, and the child wants to remind you that you're still not like that. They're still part of you, they're still in you. even as you have grown and evolved, there's a shining light and aspect that just wants you to remember who you were in that part of life, so you can take what resonates now, because you don't have to like revert back to that child. You want to take the parts that help motivate you or drive you or bring back the joy. It's like when I keep thinking of an ice cream and someone's eating it and they're just really enjoying it, right? They're not just eating it because it's like there. That, you know how there's like mindless eating or like sleep eaters sometimes? It's not like that. It's not being mindless of it. It's being very focused and connected with the food or the thing that you're doing, or enjoying whatever the small or big pleasures that you have in life. Nice. Look at these colors. They're very royal blue, right? It's kind of like that. I don't know what the word is. Is it like cobalt blue? I don't know. There's probably many different blues in here, but it's giving me that like rich royal kind of like energy. And it's like, remember your value, remember your worth. The beetle is talking about purity, and the child is kind of pure. And as we get older, you get taught, like, I was thinking of something that was really random just walking to get my haircut today, which I shouldn't have done because it was like 33 degrees Celsius and it was just too hot. But anyway, I went there, and like on the way, I was thinking about this story where I was watching it, and this girl who was, I'm assuming from America, so she was like African American or colored. I don't know what the right terminology is, but anyway, she was looking at like a doll, and they had like a whole bunch of dolls, and they were picking the doll that was the bit like the prettiest, right? And so these kids, like probably around 4 or 5 or something like that, were all different races and stuff, and they would come in one by one. They would always pick the white doll, and so even the girl picked, like the dark-skinned girl picked the white doll, and then was crying about it and was talking about, why didn't you pick this? And she was like, that's the uglies, this other colored doll. And so it was just kind of like recognizing that a lot of stuff that we get taught is a whole lot of bullshit, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's all bullshit. A lot of the stuff that we just accept in society is a whole lot of bullshit. If we actually all switched and just got into like, why do we accept this? Why do we accept this? We'd be able to clear it all out very quickly. But no one wants to be the one that crosses the river first, right? Because generally the one that crosses the river first, if you're thinking of like the animal migration in the Serengeti or whatever it's called, like, in Africa, it's like the one that goes first, going to get chomped by the, by the alligator or crocodile. The crocodile is probably what they are. But anyway, so it's like, yeah, I don't want to like just risk it. So anyway, I think the point of that is think about some of the things that we get taught and like look at it and see if it's like, if your younger self would see it as silly, or see it as like that little test thing was kind of heartbreaking in a way, but also very exposing, right, of how things are just taught, and how sad that is, really. But anywho, we still have this energy of purity. We can change the things, that the mindset, the little, whatever's. It's, how some people say, well, I was born like this, so I'm always like this. Well, if it's something that's not helping them and also harming others, then it can always be changed. We're not robots, right? Even robots can be updated and reprogrammed. So I'm sure a human can, since we can think more, well, I don't know, robots these days. But anyway, the idea is like being able to think clearly and precisely, and recognize when something is harming or hurting ourselves, to maybe look at changing and shifting that mindset. It's going to take practice. It's like going to the gym. It takes practice, right? You go there and you don't want to go back the next day because you're sore, but you go back the following day and you keep doing it and you get better and more fitter, and you start to enjoy the gym, or you start to realize how much you hated it and start to do something else, that kind of thing. Give it some time and some practice. But yeah, getting into that childlike mindset, I feel like, is going to help you push through some old boundaries and break some old habits. So you have a boitata and the tek petal. I don't know how to pronounce that, even though I made these cards. Protect paddle. So you've got defender, nature, fire, and sacrifice. Where are you now in your life? Sacrificing your good, like your good energy, right? Where are you focusing in on that's no longer relevant? Like the Boitata is a Brazilian, I don't know if it's like a god, but it's like I guess it's like a guardian, and guardians are pretty interesting. Like the more I've got into spirituality, we have like guides, right? And they're like generally will be higher in the light, and even if they're in the shadow, there'll be purpose and meaning to be helping you in the shadows for whatever reason you're going through. So there'll be that. But then guardians are just very like sentinel almost. So yeah, I don't know how to word it, but they seem very interesting. And this one, the stories is like, there's negative stories, there's positive stories. The positivity is like trying to keep the natural forest, rainforest, Amazon free of destruction and disrespect, right? You disrespect, Boitasha comes in, like gets you kind of thing. So that's where I guess the negativity is. But yeah, I mean, you know, if we destroy the environment, we destroy ourselves essentially. So I guess that's where it's kind of coming through. And next to inspiration, it's like, oh, I can actually not. Well, yeah, maybe some of you might want to fight back against something that's not right in your environment. That's not right for you in this life, or you've forgotten who you are in a way, or a part of you that's like, that can really push and wants to like question things. Question things is fine. Children should question things, because some of the stuff that adults do makes no sense, right? Some of the stuff I do or we do makes no sense. And when I see someone going like, oh yeah, you should just do it like this and saves you time, and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Like that's obviously a great idea. One of the things was like, it's just something silly, but it was like having rice, and then it was like washing rice, and it was like they were changing bowls and stuff all the time, and like pouring it into the sieve and going like that. And one person was like, why don't you just like keep the rice in the sieve, dip it into the bowl with the water in it, lift it up, change out the water, and then put fresh water, and then wash it again, and you know, like that. And I was like, well, that's so much easier than going, you know, do. I don't know. It didn't save it's not going to save the world, but it's good to like think critically sometimes, like about that. So yeah, I do like Boitata coming through. It feels like you are protected as well, and you don't deserve to have your environment, whether it's internal or your sanctuary, your home, desecrated by anyone. Yeah, if you are going through anything where you don't feel respected, you don't deserve that. So remember how strong you are. You've got the 8 of Swords here. I can't remember the story exactly, but she had this, I think she had, from memory, I can't remember, but she was kind of kicked out because of how she looked, or there was something with her appearance or something like that where she didn't feel like she would fit, so she left, or she was kicked out, something like that, with this 8 of Swords, and she was in a cave, right? Because she's kind of like, well, I'm not worthy of being here. So she forgot who she was, which was not, her value wasn't based off what other people thought about her. Her value was based off what she thought about herself. So like essentially the story is the 8 of Swords, which is getting stuck in the head, being stuck, thinking that I have to be this way. This is the only way that I can live. So it's quite telling, right? With this reading, it makes a lot of sense, because you're intelligent and you are a go-getter at heart. If you want something, go get it. Oh, I love this one. I can't remember the story with this one, but it's like, you know, a knotted ball and the sword here, and he's going to cut away a lot of the web, especially if we're taught something, or we're compared to another sibling or something like that, it can have connected effects, like reach-on effects to this, to this, to this. It's like, and then when you go all the way back down, it's like this is the root cause. Is this one thing that's created a whole web of bullshit, really, a whole lot of like false feelings and belief systems. Well, just because it was doesn't mean it has to be now. So I like the Ace of Swords. It's like, remember how smart, intelligent, creative, all those like good words, because you already were that when you came here. Like the beetle, even though it's kind of weird it's a beetle, right? But like, the beetle is like representing the purity of it all. You don't have to fit in. Yeah, make your way. It's almost like making your way downtown, walking fast. Anyway, but yeah, this one here, she's in her little boat or like, container, and she's off to where she needs to be. Same with him. There's no one else around him, but he's off to where he needs to go. He knows where he needs to go. All right, what else is your inner child or younger self? It's not really inner child, but I feel like it's the same, right? The inner child, our younger selves go within us. They're still there. Yeah, you're getting like the bum's rush, as my mum would say. Bum's rush just means like the hurry up, I guess. Now you've got the Eight of Wands. It's kind of interesting because here, the bird is trying to save or help people and is getting slightly burnt too. And so a little bit of pain for a whole lot of pleasure is going to be worth it, instead of a whole lot of stagnation or a whole lot of like, I can't do this, I'm not worthy of this. Well, you absolutely are. So sorry, but you're wrong. All right, what one last card do you want to finish this off with? I feel like just ultimately just want you to be happy, basically. And then finally, you've got the Five of Swords. And it's kind of interesting here because this Five of Swords, how the Five of Swords is generally I win, you lose. And it's like you can overcome this adversity of feeling like you're already constantly losing, which may have turned into numbness, right? This is like turning into like more deeper. So if you've kind of like not resonating with this now, that's fine. Resonate with whatever has come through. But like, I can't remember, it's like Osiris or something. This goddess has lost her husband, and her husband's kind of being reborn. And it reminds me of, I don't know, I was thinking about this today, I think about a lot of random stuff. But anyway, I was thinking about this today of like whales, right? And how they've evolved. They're mammals, so they've gone from, if we go all the way back to like fish, going onto the land, and then they've gone back into the waterways and then back into the ocean. And it's kind of like, well, if you just stayed in the ocean, you would have still been a fish, right? You still might have been big or smaller, depends. But by coming out of the water and then going back into the water, like they're the biggest animals that have ever been on the planet. Well, that's, by recordings and assumptions, right? But at the moment, the blue whale is the biggest single organism. Excuse me. On this planet, anyway. So, not that bigger is always like that's the better, but they're quite successful before whaling. And even like seals and things like that, they're quite successful. And even you look at like birds, right? They've gone from flying to all the way back into the water, where they're able to survive in places where other animals that may have been there at some time never were able to evolve in Antarctica, right? There's emperor penguins that are there. There's also K2 penguins who are like super fast, right, in the water. And you would think, wouldn't a fish be like that? So sometimes being taken into a different environment and then going back, it's like when you go on an exchange and then you learn something and you come back, you're more evolved. And it's not like you're better than anyone else. It's just you've had more experience. So, it's okay to, pretty much what I'm trying to say is it's okay to go and push yourself or force yourself into something that you know you kind of want to do. You know you want to do it. You know you want to try it. So you have to like force yourself. If you're like, I don't want to do that, I'm not going to force myself into that. Perfect. Don't force yourself into something you don't want to do. Force yourself into something that like, give it a little try. Tell the ego like, hey, get back into the younger self. Would I have tried that? Would I have walked around, saw something, pointed at it, and then ran over and tried it and given it like a try? Or like talked about, what is this animal? What is this tree? What is like, whatever, why is the sky blue? All those kind of questions and stuff. Get back into that, because I think it's going to, I know it's going to help you recognize that pushing yourself is not about forcing yourself to do something you don't want. It's about getting yourself into a position that's new and giving yourself the time and space to feel into it and see if you like it or not. You can try something you don't like in the end. That's okay. You've learned you don't like it. But better that than to never try it at all and wonder. Okay. So it feels like there is no win and loss. There is no win-lose. It's kind of a fun reading. Sorry, the music as well is getting like, it's reminding me of so much stuff because it's all from 2000s, which, I mean, on 2000, I think I was like 14, probably giving my age away. Yeah, I was either turning or it's around 14, something like that. And so I remember the Y2K bug and all that kind of like drama with the world shutting down. It never made any sense to me whatsoever, and nothing happened. And I was just like, okay. And it was hard too, because we were the first country, because it was like New Zealand was like the first, like one of the first countries to kind of go through it, like with like either the, there's a few countries, but like nothing happened, nothing changed. It was fine. I didn't understand why people thought that anyway. But it's just kind of funny, right? It's like all this fear over nothing. And maybe that relates to you. You don't want to get a little bit of burn. You don't want to do something wrong or be seen as like someone who tried something and failed, right? I'd rather be someone, excuse me, someone who failed than someone who never tried. Personally. Okay, I'm going to take this one. All right, and your last card here is, it's time to reveal your radiant light to the world. I love that with the peacock. The peacock is like radiant, right? It's like flourishing energy. It's beauty. All right, I'm going to leave that there. So this is your reading. To sum it up, there's a lot of little parts and little bits that may have really resonated. This isn't to go back and like relive trauma, to dramatize, to go over and over and over the past. This is really to remember who you are, what you're capable of, what have you learned that no longer resonates, what do you need to push yourself into, what kind of environment, what do you want to try differently, and taking considerate thought and going for it, basically. Because your light's important. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today, pile number 1. Take care of yourself, look after yourself, be kind to yourself and others, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, welcome to your reading pile number 2. So you've chosen the red Jasper with nurture, determination, excuse me, relaxing and tranquility. So really nice crystal. It really does feel like it's going to be touching in on the root chakra. So this could be talking to your survival, basically, or the feeling of fight or flight. Excuse me. But it is getting that kind of calm. So maybe it touches even in on, with tranquility and relaxing, anxiety, stress, something like that. I don't know if your young self is really going to dive deep into that specific spot, but maybe we're going to talk about the aura of it, and then it's up to you where you take that. But I'm not going to direct the reading. It's just like what came through straight away. So we'll pick some cards and we'll have a look at where this is going to lead you today. Okay. Which ones do you want first? These ones. Oh. It's kind of fun listening to old 2000 songs too. This one is like, I don't know, I can't remember. It's like either NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, one of those kind of like bands. Liberty X or something. It's probably not them, it's not as dancey. But you know, all those old school. Just haven't heard them in so long, I almost forgot about them. All right, so these will be your oracle cards. Let's take a look. You have the raccoon. You have everything you need. This is so similar starting to the last pile. Not so much with this, but just like you have everything you need. So I want to say you're enough, you're more than enough, but you don't really need, or it almost feels like you shouldn't need me to tell you that. When I'm saying me, I'm like your younger self. You shouldn't need me to tell you who you are. You're the one that's gone through the life, right? You've gone through the healing, the growth, the workings, the challenges, the breakups, all the stuff, right? How did you forget about this part of you? So it's kind of like you have everything. You have everything you need within you. Don't forget about this part of you. Okay. So you've got acceptance, unleash yourself. I love this. Acceptance is all about recognizing what was as a was. It's not a now. It's not an is, right? So if you had like a challenge with a difficult parent in the past, do you still have that now? And are you still playing out that same story? Is it time to stop it, minimize it, reduce it, or let it go? You're the storyteller, right? In this game of life for you. Regardless, no matter what, don't spend too much of your energy on things that don't need your energy. Acceptance is all about accepting things for what they are, for who they were, for what they were, and now what do I want to do for myself and for the people I care about, and what's more important in my today right now? Is it to heal that? Is it to move on from that? Is it to release it? Is it to, I don't know, try something new? You know, that's up to you. I love this, celebrate and savor. No matter what comes through this reading with these two here, the little raccoon party and the actual party, it's like celebrate your uniqueness, celebrate the unique people that make up your life, right? Enjoy the people that are around you. You have everything you need to be able to create whatever you are wanting in this life. And I say whatever you are drawn to, whatever you're wanting to experience, you're able to create that dream or that desire into reality. So look after yourself. Try not to judge or criticize yourself. Be kind to yourself. That's how you get out of this pressure box of like stress and anxiety if you do suffer that, right? It's like, let yourself breathe. Like, let yourself be okay with not working 24/7 or not trying to be something 24/7. You already are what you need to be. So why do you need to try to do it? Why do you need to show someone else that you're that? They don't play any part in like who you are and how you make decisions right now. You are. Okay. Ooh, The black cat mystery. That's interesting. Black cats kind of remind me of curiosity as well. You know, the saying curiosity killed the cat. And sometimes they are a little bit curious, right? They want to know what's going on. And same with children. They want to understand why I can't do this. Why can't I touch the element? It's because it's hot, it'll burn you, right? Or why can't I have ice cream right now? It's because you're already wild. You know, more sugar is not going to help you. So, you know, it's all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's getting into this like, oh yeah, I need something that's going to expand my mind. It's like with muscles, you either use it or so-called lose it. You don't really lose your muscle, but you lose the strength, or it diminishes. But that may be okay, right? It's like as we age, it happens. But also with your mind or your playfulness, you stop opening up to like joy, play, and fun. You start to lose it. So I feel like this is starting to like talk about get back into that curiosity, that fun, because you'll uncover interesting things. It's interesting because it feels almost like they want to take some of you on a spiritual journey where you don't actually go outside to find it. It's always it's definitely within in this particular pile. Some stuff is outside, right? But this feels completely 99.9% within. It's not like you have to uncover anything, you just explore. It's like, remember you have an imagination. Remember you have dreams. Write down your dreams. If they're really wacky, you don't have to interpret it. Just see it as fun and wacky, right? Why not? It doesn't have to be anything other than what you perceive it to be. Even this card, the Buff Priest and the Honeypot, it says organizations, history, and weird. Look, even no matter what's happened kind of in the past, because this could trigger up many different things, but the story of this guy is he was in the army, he hung up his armor, right, and decided to join, I don't know, like the clergy, I guess, or some kind of religion. He was looking for something, and he thought that it being different would free him. But it's like these organizations are already structured. They're not about freedom. They're about structure. So he gets to a point where he's like, oh, am I keeping myself stuck? What is happening? I'm trying to look this way for these people. I'm trying to be this for this person. I'm trying to please these people. This is not about trying to please anyone. It's it's not even trying to, it's just being. Just be. Basically your not higher self. Your younger self is like, just be. What is you without all the labels, without the label of mom, dad, worker, resource number one, you know, whatever people like, you know, or woman or man, or even like gay, straight, bi, whatever, you know, like without washing away all of that. Who are you? The younger self wants to talk about that person. If you don't have an answer, you don't need to answer me or even answer yourself. Just let yourself feel that. What does that feel like? What does that look like? What does it sound like? Because then you can start. That's the real purpose of foundations, and that's what the root chakra is our foundation. Okay. Quite an interesting one, right? She is sitting out here frostbitten, which you would be if it's snowing. I don't live anywhere where it snows, but I couldn't imagine I get cold enough when it's, you know, not even a frost. It's just like mildly cold. So, you know, imagine this, and she's got like a little light here, but it's like, why are we sitting out here? I know from the story, I guess it's really touching on the traditional meaning of the card, the Five of Pentacles or the Five of Coins in this deck, is that someone's been left out or neglected or like feels tossed away, like to the sides. If you still feel like that for whatever reason, you don't have to. Find your community, find you within you, basically. Your younger self is like very determined to get this message out. I guess that's why you chose this determination, right? And it's talking about nurture. What have you learnt? What have you absorbed in this world, in this lifetime? Because you don't have to wait here for the people to let you in. Go find your own freedom, right? Go somewhere else where you are appreciated and where you can start to grow and build yourself. Because if people don't appreciate you, leave. Speaking of the past, right, we've got the Six of Cups. I like this because in a very old book that I read about, or like an old term for the Six of Cups was like fairy favors. And I don't know what that means, but it sounds really sweet. Fairy favors, right? So it's kind of like, it's almost like you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, or like someone comes to your door, right, asking for, I don't know, a cup of sugar or something, and you give them a cup of sugar. I don't know, you know, it's just like, it's something small and a good gesture, basically. But traditionally, also, or like, I guess in this case, the Six of Cups is the past. So we are talking about the past. And yeah, you may need to go through a layering meditation, which I don't know what that means. I've never heard of it. But in my head, what I can see is not just you going straight back to the childhood energy. It's like going back in time and seeing how and what's impacted you. Was it horrible partners? Was it like difficult family members? Was it like difficult boss, right? That has caused you to forget who you are, basically. And I think if you can see the thread instead of going straight to the source, you'll be able to process it easier. So I guess it's like taking one step at a time instead of just jumping all the way up to the hill. But I feel like some people can just jump all the way up to the top of the hill, and that's okay. It doesn't make it harder or better. It's just like some people don't need the step-by-step process, and maybe you do, and that's okay. You're allowed to be you, right? Just be you. All right, let's see what your younger self wants to say. Yeah, I mean, look at this. If we're talking about the past, we have the past card, or something that talks about memories. We have the neglect card, or the turning point of the Five of Pentacles, right? Where they start to shift into the end half of the Pentacles. But it's like before this, the Four, the person who hoarded the things in out of fear of losing it, and they focused so much on the fear of losing something that they lost it, right? So they couldn't keep or make people do what they wanted. And it's like, release the control, process the heartbreak or the heartache. She's taking out the swords, right? She's recognized what's occurred, and she's starting to take out the swords so she can start to heal. I feel like all this will help you drop a lot of like mental anguish, basically, or emotional anguish. Because if you think about it now, I feel like you could come up with, oh, it's because of this or this person or that. But if you go back further and like where it's linked up, how it's kind of like impacted this part of your life or that part of your life, you can start to heal it. I don't know why. That might be just for some of you, but it just feels like that'll be the way to do it. It's not necessarily going straight to the source. It's like seeing how it's all impacted in whatever way. Kind of like you need details. This feels like you. I don't know the story here. I don't know the story for some of these because they have like they're based off fairy tales, sometimes folklore, which is really, really cool because I can resonate with that with the cards I've made. But anywho, like here we've got the King of Cups. The King of Cups is there's this reader who always says this, the King of Cups is daddy, and I'm like, it's just funny. But anyway, it's really like he's an emotional, mature person. He has so much information and he's so intelligent emotionally, right? He's emotionally aware, because you can find intelligent people that can't process things when emotions come into it because it's not logic. This is someone who has all that. I feel like this is the person who has like an expanded capacity, and I feel like that is part of you. And even if you've gone through different phases of your life where it hasn't worked, has worked, and you've tried to do things in ways that hasn't worked, all those things accumulate into learning and opportunities to grow. Even the person that has gone through like I was watching something in the US, and the US is kind of wild, but anyway, he like got bankrupt 2 times and then was able to make millions, right? Because he just kept trying. He just knew he had the idea, but it was just like didn't know how to process it or get to the point where he was trying. And most people that went through that kind of stuff might give up, but he had the determination. I feel like that's part of you as well. There's a determined energy still within you that may want to be tapped into, especially if you're looking at making changes, making new choices, doing something differently. Okay. You have the 7 of Coins. My personal take on the 7 of Coins, this one's a bit different. This is almost like cleansing by fire, but it is like a planting seeds where they deserve to be planted. If you're in a desert, you're not going to plant seeds that won't grow there. If you're in the jungle, you're going to have a lot of space, right? A lot of like good space to be able to plant certain things, but you're not going to plant a cactus in a rainforest. It's just like be aware of what kind of seeds you're planting. If a person, like for a human example, if you want like a person to respect you, but you're not respecting yourself by telling this person, but you keep trying to like please them in this way and that way, that's kind of like planting seeds in, I don't know, a piece of shit person or something like that. That's probably not the nicest way to say it, but you know what I mean? Like, there needs to be some kind of like recognition, comprehension, and clarity, and then starting to move. There was this person I used to work with, and she was like, oh, well, I'm staying at this job for another 3 years because then I'll get long service leave, right? And it's like, but do you like this job? And she's like, no. And I'm like, screw that. I had like, I didn't realize I was going to leave, but a year or 2 later, I ended up leaving. And it wasn't a bad job. It was fine. But yeah, I left because it just no longer resonated. I had like maybe a year or something before I got long service leave, but I did not care. I would rather have a whole year to myself doing something that I love than waiting a whole year so I can get, about 3-4 weeks pay? No. A whole year versus 4 weeks doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? But somehow we've convinced ourselves of these ridiculous things. That, oh yeah, 4 weeks, that's pretty good. You may as well stay for an extra year. Why waste a year for 4 weeks? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, it's kind of like saying, I'll take 1 chocolate when I could have had a whole bag to myself, right? Maybe that's not the best example, but you know what I mean. All right, last card. I like your younger self though, really fun. Serious, but fun. Queen of Coins, you have everything you need. Yeah, you've got everything you need. Fuck the snake. You're fine, just doing what you want. The snake ain't gonna touch you because the snake is a hoe anyway. The snake is a hoe. What I mean by that is like the Queen of Coins, being able to support and have everything you need. You've gone through the stuff. You know the dangers, and the snake isn't going to touch you. The snake is just there to scare you. But the snake's probably more scared of you than you are of it. It's kind of like, when they say that in the wild. And, you keep an eye on it, but you don't worry about what it's doing and what it's going to do because you already know what your value is and your worth. And when you're in a higher vibration, the lower vibrations aren't going to touch you because otherwise they have to reach your level. Or, which usually works, is pull you down into their level to, argue, fight, whatever. And it's like, I ain't going to do that. I have too much respect for myself and I have too much life to live. And I'm not going to waste it on you. I don't know why it's turned into that kind of reading, but it's like very that. Okay, well, that was a fun, interesting reading. And yeah, especially if we've gone through the hardship, right? The benefit is being a much more kinder, well-rounded person than maybe what you perceived or what people told you. And just because people think you're this, that, or the other, I even get labeled certain things now, and sometimes it's fine and I don't mind. And I still actually really don't mind, because if people see that and I don't believe it, that says more about them than me. I don't have to buy into it, right? I don't have to agree that that's my truth. That's their truth of me, which has nothing to do with me. What they decide to believe and feel is none of my business, really. Even if it's about me, it's still none of my business, because I'm not making it my business. So yeah, got a little sassy at the end, which is kind of fun. But yeah, enjoy who you are, celebrate that, deal with your bullshit if you need to. Yeah, remember who you are, strong, independent, and powerful, right? Accept things for what they are and what they were, and move towards your peace in this life and your enjoyment of it. Get into that kitty cat mentality and go for a little journey. Go for a little journey. Okay, part number 2. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today. This has been really cool. I have really enjoyed this reading. Hopefully you have too. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Even though I'm on holiday, I will still eventually get somewhere where there's Wi-Fi, and I will respond to the comments. But otherwise, take the message to heart and leave what doesn't resonate, and take in the positive messages that feel right to you. Otherwise, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Hello again, pile number 2. I forgot to grab you one of these cards. These are the Starseed cards. So I'm going to grab one now. I didn't start pile 3. So I was like, oh, I need to grab this. So I put the cards away, and I'm going to grab this. So this is the last card for pile number 2. I'm going to take this one here. So your final card is Channel. You are a channel through which healing energy reaches the world. Yeah, what you do with whatever you've been through to get to here now is really going to help not just you, but ensure that this doesn't occur in your own kind of incarnation future, right? But also will help set you up for whatever's next in your life. And actually, by you being you heal the world in a way. It's kind of funny, because we think, oh, we have to go out there and plant trees or like do that or whatever, and it's like, yes, that helps, but also being the best version of ourselves, which is the true version of ourselves, not so much the most successful at this, that, or the other. It's really just the true us. Then we inspire others to be their true selves, even if they never see us. It's just all in the energetical web of life. Okay, that's your message. Take care. Hello, welcome to your reading, pile number 3. So kind of interesting, the cards look really disheveled and all over the place, which is kind of funny because this feels like a good thing. Anyway, the song that was coming through in my head, even though at the start I said I was listening to 2000 music, I was still listening to music, but like the song that was playing in my head was, I think it's Aretha Franklin. But you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman. I don't know why it's coming through. Maybe it's because of the feminine divine. I'm not too sure. But we've got magical powers with the Iolite, magical powers, feminine divine, work connections, and inspiration. So very cool message. So it's going to be a message from your younger self, right? This is something to remember, to remind you, to boost your energy, to give you some kind of like vibe. Oh, okay. This one slapping my hand. Let's go this way. So we're going to grab some oracle cards, and then we'll have a look at your message. Not getting too much, but I am getting like a more lighter vibe, like a more healthier vibe. Okay, so this one. These ones feel mysterious for some reason. All right, let's take a look. Your first card is the Hummingbird Cheer Up. Cheer Up, Buttercup. Really interesting with Hummingbird. Hummingbird's always seen as kind of like really sweet, right? But when you look at like what they have to do, they're kind of on the clock. They've evolved with certain flowers, and that's why there's like the swordbill hummingbird, which has a ridiculously long beak, but it's specific to one flower, which is quite a evolutionary like worry, right? It's like this isn't great for this because either one could die out and then the other one dies out. But anywho, they have to work a lot. Like flowers produce a certain amount of nectar at certain times. They need a certain amount of food at certain times. So they kind of coexist. So it's kind of like the flower isn't going to give them more than they need because then they won't keep pollinating. And they're just going to give you just enough at certain amount of times to make sure that they are producing enough pollen and that kind of thing. And you're spreading it to other flowers. You know what I mean? Like it's very clockwork, which is kind of interesting because I mean, the saying is just cheer up, but it feels like it's not as easy as it was when you were younger, right? Of course not, because generally when we're younger, depending on what we're talking about, right? But a lot of times it's easier and we don't have to worry about mortgage and rates and these kind of things. And hopefully you didn't have to either. I didn't have to, but I did get taught at a very young age. Money would go into my bank sometimes, so I would be taken to this is back in the day when there was no online kind of like services. So I got taken to the council office type whatever thing and to the bank and to withdraw this and sort out this and then go pay this. And it's like, see, you have to pay these because these have to be paid. If they don't get paid, they can repossess the property and stuff like that. It was just interesting to learn. So I'm not talking about that kind of stuff, which is actually kind of helpful, even though it just puts things into perspective. But this feels just more fun, I guess, and getting back into that healthy heart space. So let's see what else comes through. Play, yeah, this is just fun. Follow the fun. And you've got this little character here. He's called Baby, and he's actually kind of a bit of a flirt. He's not a baby, it's just his name. But he's kind of like, he'll kind of like, flirt with like certain things and wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He's kind of a kind of saucy character in a way. You also have the Taniwha and the Heimato, which is protection, solitude, and patience. I don't know, it's really interesting. It kind of feels like whatever happens throughout the life, whether it was traumatic or not, even if it was like, even if you just breeze through life, I don't think anyone does, but let's just say we're making up a person who had the most cruisiest thing, everything just fell into place. They didn't really learn anything, so they didn't really have to think about anything. It just all automatically produced everything they wanted. Even along that path, they've kind of forgotten who they were in the sense of that fun vibe energy. And like that, you make me feel like an actual woman. It's like, someone being there that gives you that good feeling, right? And so we're talking about Baby, and he's even winking there. It's like, hey, you know what I mean? Get maybe in your relationship now, getting into that fun aspect. It's kind of funny coming from a child, right? Because we don't think about that. But like fun and play can be. We may not be interested in going onto a park and swinging on a merry-go-round like a kid, right? But we might be having fun in the bedroom or something like that. I don't know why that's coming through, but hey, look, I'm just going to go with whatever. Your inner child is no longer a child. Oh, and we've got passion. We've got passion next to play and winking, sassy, little flirty Baby. Yeah, I mean, she's hot. The Heimato is kind of interesting because it's really, the reason why it might have felt like I brushed over it was not so much because it needs to be brushed over. The Heimato is the hook here, and it's about protection, and it's masculine energy. And we've got the feminine divine and the masculine kind of like a very strong masculine symbol. And then the Taniwha in Māori tradition is kind of mixed. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it was just violent, right? So it's not really it doesn't really have a place where it's either this, that, or the other. It kind of reminds me of Boitata, the snake from Brazil, modern day Brazil, or something like Baba Yaga, right, where she's seen as like evil or sometimes good or sometimes not. Like there's no real this, that, or the other. So I don't know, it's really just interesting, and I feel like it's coming through with the reason why I'm talking about it is to show that something's been left down in the depth, right? And there's like this spark that needs to pop up. Even here, we see something really beautiful, but it's actually working its ass off to survive. Oh, she's a lady. You've got the peahen. I kind of like the peahen because when we think about the peahen, we think of it's pretty drab. The peahen's actually quite beautiful. It's just when you compare it to the peacock, right? Because they've kind of evolved in a way where the female version of the peacock, right, the peahen, will only really mate with the most, I guess, beautiful. I don't know why this is coming through, but there's a lot of like sex in here. Anyway, they have their own uniqueness and beauty within. If we compare it to different birds, not that we should be comparing anything, but you know what I mean, just like you have your own unique beauty. And this one's talking about nurture. So this is like remember your self-care as well, your self-pleasure, especially with passion. It's just like that riding energy. Don't know why it says riding, but it just feels like riding energy. Okay, so what else does your younger self want to remind you of? I'll take these two. Oh yeah, passion and sun, right. If we step out of the sex, if we get out of sex for a minute in this reading, it doesn't have to be just sexual, right? The sun is coming through with the play. There's like that inner amusement and fun aspiration kind of like feeling, that dawning of a new day, that inner child like healing, all that kind of stuff, that inner child expression, which is healing. Doesn't have to be healed if it's expressing itself freely. Someone who expresses themselves freely, in Australia especially, if someone stands out of the crowd, we want to like cut them down, which is really shitty, honestly. That's one thing I like about America, is that maybe it's taken too far sometimes, but like being kind of wacky in yourself is like, I don't know, I'm sure you have tall poppy syndrome over there too, but like to me it feels like that's kind of celebrated. And while all countries and all different species and races and whatever have their own quirks, right, that to me feels like a really positive thing of like championing individuality or uniqueness. You can see that with someone who what's that girl, that gymnastics chick, Simone Biles, right? She is told she can't do these ones because they're too dangerous or whatever, but she does it anyway. Like, you know what I mean? She's just gonna do it because it's completely out of the box and new, compared to putting yourself in a box, which is supposed to be artistic, right? We're talking about artistic gymnastics. How the frig can you box in something that's supposed to be artistic? It's kind of like, okay, to do art, you can only do it this way. I'm not saying that art school doesn't help. I'm sure art schools and stuff like that really do help, even though they're structured. But really, you already have everything you need. You don't need all this other stuff to tell you how to be you. You already are you. You just express it outwards in the way that you want, and you get ideas and things from other areas and people and learnings, right? You don't have to like fit into this. And so, I don't know, I feel like that's exactly what's coming through right now. I don't know how we got to Simone Biles, but there we go. Ooh. This doesn't feel too heavy. It's just like, which dream do I want to express or explore? That inner child is like wanting to kind of like choose the lamp, right? And see what's in it. See what comes out. This also could be many, especially if you're single, right? Many suitors. If you're in a relationship, it could be like spicing it up in a way. I don't know why this is turning into a lot about sensuality and sexuality, but I guess that's part of it, right? It's like, it's obviously not done and has anything involved with the child, but like now it's kind of like either healing that, expressing it, or exploring it in some way. And it doesn't have to be exactly sex. It can be also just feeling your fantasy, or like, you know, how sometimes putting on a wig or something, you feel like a new woman or whatever. I don't know. It's just like, you know, it's fun, right? It's just like dressing up, Halloween type style stuff, dressing up and being a different character for a day, stepping out of your usual mum, dad, whatever. Anyway, I don't know. Your younger self is wild. Yeah, this is your younger self. Wild. Page of Wands. That fun, inspirational, kind of like passionate, creative, juicy energy. It's like you still are that in this older body, right? Or in this older form. That's that good vibe is still there. So if you have forgotten about it, just remember it's still there. If you still explore with it, even if you are an artist now, or like even wacky, still explore it, because you know there's still something else there to be explored. Maybe it's going to help with the relationships. Maybe it's going to help with your desires for your career, right? Maybe it's going to help with your hobbies. I don't know. But it's there. It's kind of an interesting one here, because it's like here she's doing the work and it's almost like causing pain. I don't know if I said this in this reading, but it reminds me of a person I worked with that was like, I have to go to work, right? Because I have to stay here for another 2 or 3 years so I can get long service leave. And in my mind, I was thinking 2 or 3 years in a job you don't like to get 4 weeks, say, of pay, like free pay, let's say. I wouldn't dedicate my life to something I don't like for another 2 years to get 4 weeks. It doesn't make sense. It's like it just doesn't make sense to me. It just really doesn't make sense. It's like it's a whole lot of time doing something you don't like. And here, the Eight of Pentacles is like mastering a skill, but it's bringing pain. You know, she's got, it looks like nettle or something, and it's like irritating her hands and feet. And I feel like in the traditional, it's like she's doing this for a good purpose. But like, is it really worth it? Ask yourself that. Is it really worth it? Is it bringing you sunshine and peace in your life? And maybe it is. Maybe it is in some way and you're quite happy with it. Fine. I'm not telling you to change it. Just think about it. Like, are you feeling nurtured by what you do, or the relationships you're in, or the friendships you're in, or the work connections you deal with? Break out of that adult, oh, I'm an adult, I have to do these things bullshit. Like, break out of that. I don't want to hear it. You have the 3 of Coins, going and doing something that actually brings you creative joy and fun. You know, the fun here, the like aura and like, oh, I wonder, instead of like, oh, I haven't done this for a while, I need to do this, you know, that kind of thing. This feels more like, oh, this is something I could work on. That's cool. That I could also work on this. I could actually help myself with this. Maybe I should take myself out for a walk or a spa or something, right? Whatever. You know, it feels good. Go do that good feeling stuff. 5 of Wands. Interesting 5 of Wands coming out at the end. 5 of Wands touches on conflict, right? At its worst, but it can also touch on sparring. I don't know, it's kind of reminding me of like LARPing, or you know how people go to Renaissance fairs or medieval things? I would have loved that as a kid, but growing up in a small town of about 3 or 4 thousand people in the middle of New Zealand, not so much having a lot of options for what you could do. I really enjoy the town I grew up, but you know, for what it had to offer, it offered what it needed, and I left when I wanted to explore more. But yeah, here it's almost like, is it sparring? Is it fighting? Are the conflicts really necessary? Especially if this is at work. Are you really wanting to put in more effort than it's worth? If I'm putting in 100% effort and the energy coming back to me is 80%, then there's a deficit, right? Is the money worth it? Is the perceived like security worth it? Right. It's almost like work will want to keep people kind of strict or stuck so they stay in shitty conditions. And it's like, nah, screw that. Go live your life. I feel like if everyone did this, world would be a colorful place for sure. I'm not saying it's the best thing, but go for it. Wink, wink. Go get it. Yeah, cheer up, Buttercup. Your life isn't over. Just forgot how to go out and have fun. This one. Starseed, raise your vibration, raise the vibration of the planet through your radiant, loving light. Nice. This is like, don't forget who you are, don't forget where you're from, don't forget where your soul's from. It's not even from this planet, right? Maybe. It's just kind of fun. Now the song Umbrella's on. I used to love that song. Still a bop. But yeah, there's a lot here to kind of absorb and take in. Feel free to, I don't know, rewatch parts of this if you feel it. Whatever resonated, take. And whatever was like, that doesn't resonate with my life, then don't take it, right? It's not for you. It's for someone else, because there's a lot of other people that pick this pile, not just you. But yeah, if the sexual stuff or like the pleasure and play kind of side and the sexual side doesn't resonate, then leave it. See it as like getting inner joy and bringing that out into your world, right? That kind of fun play. If you have any questions, of course, leave me a comment. I will eventually get to it. I will be on holiday, which I probably mentioned a lot. But I'm excited about it when it's coming up. So, you know, it's been a long time and I've never been to Europe before. So anyway, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will see you in the next reading.